Hello, in this video I wanted to discuss the syllabus for Physical Science 206, which is the Earth and Space Science class for middle school teachers. I also mainly want to show the link between the syllabus and the calendar. My reason for doing this is to limit the amount of time that we do spend on the syllabus and the calendar in class, and rather have a discussion or answer any questions that you might have about either of the two documents at that time. So I'm not going to read the two documents to you. You surely can do that by yourself. I just want to point out a few things about the grading policy and assignments and how some of those assignments, tell you a little bit about them now, but they'll start to be populated on Blackboard. All right, so let me just sort of scroll down through the syllabus here. First, note that the course grading policy is listed here. There will be some homework, probably a minimal amount, so that's listed as 10% of the course grade. We will be doing lab activities, probably a couple lab activities each time we meet. That's 20% of the course grade. You will be reviewing some articles. These are from practitioner journals. I'll talk more about that in a minute. That's 15% of the grade. We'll have some short quizzes. These will be short quizzes using the Plickr app. I'll provide everything you need for that. Those will be on the content from the previous lesson, and we will do those in class. And then there will be a series of 3 exams, which we can talk about in a minute, which make up the bulk of the scoring. That's 40% of the grade. And finally, professionalism. That's where I keep track of things that future employers will want to know about, like how many times you're absent or late to class, or are you preoccupied with your phone, tablet, computer, etc. So let's keep scrolling down here. As I said, homework probably not real structured, like I don't have that in the calendar, but as we cover things in class and need to move that to homework, it's there and we'll do that. When we do assign homework, it'll be on this grading schema here. I'm using, as it says, the standards-based grading. The way that works is you either get a 4, 3, 2, or 1. Hopefully no one gets a 0. That's basically you didn't complete the assignment. And so we'll talk more about this in class, but instead of picking some arbitrary numbers for what an assignment is worth, standards-based grading basically says how proficient someone is in meeting the standard that's expected. And so we will be doing this. You will have the opportunity to improve your score, as it said, and we can talk about that during the first homework assignment. There will be lab activities, as I said, probably several of those that take place in class. They will be hands-on. Some will be using simulators. Some will be more sort of minds-on activities. Hopefully we'll have quite a few of those each class period. It won't really be a lecture-type class. It will be more of a hands-on experimental kind of class. While this is a science content class, an earth-based science content class, you all are going to be middle school teachers, and so the article reviews are designed to give you some experience looking at practitioner journals. These are journals written by teachers for teachers, and each of the articles that I have posted on the calendar are from the National Science Teacher Association journal, Science Scope, which again is for middle school science teachers. As you'll see in a moment, I've listed, I think, a total of 8 articles on the calendar. You will be looking at 5 of those articles, reading them, and writing 2 paragraphs about each of those articles. And I'll describe that more in class or in one of these kind of screencasts. All right, Plickers, I think I already kind of covered what that is. There's not much to them. Maybe 3, 4 questions each class using the Plickers app. I'll display them. Each of you will hold up a Plickr card to show me the answer, and this will serve as a little quiz and give you some insight into the kind of content that will be on the exams. Again, note that there are 3 exams. They will be covering earth-based science concepts primarily from class, but some supported from the course text, which I skipped over at the beginning. It is this guy here, if I can point it in the right direction, The Good Earth. This is the 4th edition. Someone had emailed about using the 3rd edition. As you'll see in the calendar, I've listed each reading by the chapter and section. So as long as you have a way to coordinate what that was page-wise in an earlier version of the text, that's fine. I doubt the content has changed that much. The exams will cover the material up until that exam, so they're not cumulative. Professionalism I already sort of talked about there. It's the grading scale for that, 60 points total. Overall standard sort of Towson grading policy there. Attendance, you should try to be in class. We meet for a fairly large chunk of time, and so it's really hard to make up that amount of time. If you know that you're going to be absent, I just ask that you try to tell me that as soon as you can, and we'll see if there's a way to make up any work that you may have missed. You will obviously be actively participating in class, so there won't be too many students in class, so that'll be hard not to participate in class and be active. You will be often working in groups, sometimes working independently. I'll let you know, when we're working independently and when we're working in groups. As for late assignments, I built a buffer in here of 3 days worth of late assignments. So what that means is you can turn 1 assignment in 3 days late, or 3 assignments 1 day late. Hopefully you won't need that, but if something's happening in your life and you can't get something in on time, that's what it's designed for. All right, the rest of this is the standard Towson, what needs to be on every syllabus. So you've probably seen all this before. Yes, you should not cheat or plagiarize. If you are thinking about dropping or withdrawing from the class, please let me know. I'd like to discuss that with you before you do. Yeah, evaluations are important. I'll talk more about that at the end of class, and probably provide class time for you to do the evaluation. If you have a disability, please let the support services folks know, and myself, as soon as you can. There is a lab fee. Like I said, we'll be doing lots of lab activities, and as you'll see in a minute on the course calendar, I've scheduled a couple field trips as well. So let me jump over to the course calendar. So here it is. So obviously the date there, and as much as I can fit in this little box about what we'll be doing in our 3 hours, that's what I have here. Here's what I was talking about earlier, the book readings, section 2.1 to 2.4, so for example. That's from the 4th edition. I don't know if that corresponds well to previous editions, but you'll have to figure that out if you choose an earlier edition. And then again, as much as I can sort of fit in this little box here, this is the top part, lab activities and homework listed here. We'll try to cover most of this in class. If we happen to not finish something, that's probably where the homework will come in. Note that there's a line and then underneath it, article review. So here's an example of an article review. So this doesn't necessarily mean you have to do this one. Remember, you'll be doing 5, and there are like 8 of them listed here. So this is the article. It will be posted in Blackboard, and we'll talk about the article, write up what it entails in the 2 paragraphs. But if you were to do this one, you would do this article and submit it on this day, the 12th. Okay, and it corresponds to the topic that day. Okay, so again, what we'll be doing in class is talking about the content. I will be teaching it in a way that you might want to use some of the activities with middle school students, but these articles are definitely written for you to use the activities with middle school teachers, if that makes sense. So we can talk a little bit more about that in class. But don't panic, those aren't things that you need to do every week. Again, they're just listed there as options for articles that you might want to review. And again, there are 8 listed there. Pick 5 of them, and you will turn in those 2 paragraphs the day that it's listed here. Right? So if you want to get them out of the way, you can do the first 5. If you want to wait, you can do the last 5, or whatever 5 you choose. 5 that are of the most interest. The exams are listed here as well. So again, that will cover everything up until that day. All right. So the seasons, for example, on the 26th season stuff will not be on exam 1. That wouldn't be too fair to teach it and then turn around and give you an exam. So everything prior to that. Again, we have spring break there, so no class on the 19th. We have 2 field trips scheduled. One is to SciTech, which is a Towson University entity down in the Inner Harbor. So we will go down there, and those folks will do a lab with us. The second field trip is over to Lake Roland Park on the 30th. We'll try to do 2 things there. Mainly going to do the stream capacity lab. We could get the data and do the rest of that at another time. So we'll try to capture the data and then look at a few rock outcroppings there. So that's about a 15-20 minute drive from campus. So look over these two documents. If you have any questions, we will address those when we meet for the first time on Tuesday. All right, see you all on Tuesday.